Hello and welcome to this week's video where we're just going to do a question and answer because it's easy and I'm about to go on a 2-week trip and I'm trying my best to upload every week. So if you're new here, my name is Maggie. I just finished like my last week of second year, so I guess I'm a third year medical student at the University of Colorado, which is crazy. At the end, I'll share these questions from Instagram. You guys didn't know about this thing that's gonna happen. And if you did, you probably would have had questions about it, so I'll share your stuff on that at the end. So let's get right into it. First question. Tips for MCAT studying while working. I feel like I kind of had it easier when I was working the second time I took the MCAT because my first core expired. I was an EMT, so it was 12-hour shifts. That meant I worked 3 to 4 shifts per week, which meant I had 3 to 4 days off per week to study. So it's not like I had to fit in studying between an 8 to 5, but I guess now as a medical student I'm fitting in studying around an 8 to 5 schedule. So what I'm doing now is a 5 a.m. study routine because that's just when I study best. If you're a night owl and you know that you'd be more productive in the evenings after you get home from work, then do 2 to 4 hour chunks of study blocks, and yeah, just plan your studying out in advance, on a calendar. Be all right, I can realistically do 10 hours per week. With that, I'll need X amount of months. Get started. If you're yep, this is going well, then keep doing what you're doing. And if you're oh my gosh, I planned to do 6 chapters in these 2-hour blocks and that's not realistic, then just go back to the drawing board kind of thing. So next question. Where did you get Oakley? We were living in Seattle and we found her on Craigslist, and my best friend from college has a GSP mix and I knew their personality and I was like, we have to see this puppy. She was 3 months old and it was from a couple who had had her for 2 weeks and then decided getting a puppy, it was the wrong time to get a puppy. I think secretly they were actually breaking up because they already had a dog and the guy worked from home, so I think that was their fake story. Oakley's perfect. That them breaking up is definitely the only reason they were actually giving her away. How do you start your Instagram and how do you monetize it? Well, by Sophia Lee is my biggest inspiration. No, but she's amazing. I stumbled upon her blog post of an income report where she made $12,000 in 1 month, and I was oh my god, this is crazy. This girl's making money from blogging. So I started a blog, and then just naturally eventually I started an Instagram, and then I actually a couple months in or a few months in, I was there's not enough pre-meds in the world, I'm never gonna grow, this is a terrible niche. And I had a midlife crisis when it comes to my business, and I switched to Little House on the Terrace. So I made a whole different new blog about decor and stuff and Instagram and stuff. And then after a month or 2 of that, I went back to the pre-med thing, and here we are. And then as far as monetizing, the main way is because I created an online course, and then the second way is through brand deals. So the people to go look into if you want to do the same. Well, if you want an Instagram, then Maya Nicole is amazing. If you want to create an online course, then Amy Porterfield, and obviously by Sophia Lee if you want blogging advice. And then Ali Abdal has a lot of tips on making money as a student, making money online, passive income, and yeah, those are my, oh, and Catherine Manning if you want to do YouTube. Those are my top 5 recommendations. So just explore them, dive into all their free content, and just do it. What postbac did you do to raise your GPA? I went to CSU East Bay in Northern California and only did 2 quarters because then they screwed up my financial aid and it was really expensive, and I was okay, I'm too broke for this, and moved back to San Diego after 2 quarters. But I still was able to do a couple quarters, and that was still helpful to continue my upward trend that I had started halfway through sophomore year. Is it true that if I pass out now when I get my blood drawn, I can get over it in med school? Yeah, totally. Or just don't do something that involves blood. Not an issue at all. You could be a pathologist or a pediatrician. I just wouldn't be a surgeon probably. Or maybe you'll get over it and then not even be fazed by it. Or it's only when it's with your own blood and you're fine seeing other people's blood. So I would not go to med school just because of that. Do you like the shorter preclinical curriculum at my school? So what this person's referring to is we don't have the traditional 2 years of lecture, and then 3rd year you start clinical rotations, 4th year more rotations and stuff. What we do is we had 1 year of lecture didactics, and then our second year we started clinicals. So we started clinicals a year early, and I would say, yeah, I liked it, I guess. Lectures is just nice because you can like, you're more on your own schedule versus like you're given a schedule and you have to be at the hospital like certain days. But like, I would say the first 6 months were pretty awesome. Like it was the traditional like rotations and like 6 weeks of internal, 6 weeks of internal med and like 5 weeks of surgery and 4 weeks of OB-GYN, and it was awesome. What I did not like is the LICs, or longitudinal integrated curriculum, where it's all outpatient, and like within 1 week I have 5 different specialties. So like every other Monday's ortho clinic, Tuesday's family med clinic in the morning, like 8 to 12, and then I have like the afternoon off, and then Wednesday is internal med clinic in the morning, lecture in the afternoon. Thursday would be like, let's say peds clinic 1 to 5 p.m. and then Friday, I had a lot of Fridays off. So it's like a lot of half days, a lot of free time, which is really nice, but it's really like boring and conjointed, and like our preceptors don't know what to do with us, and there's like less autonomy and responsibility versus like the traditional rotations where you're given more responsibility and actually treated like a third-year medical student. That I was not a fan of at all. And I think that was like the general consensus, is that it was kind of dumb. But we also like couldn't complain because we had a lot of free time and it was nice to have time to study and live our lives. But like we felt like we went backwards as far as like becoming better medical students and like better at stuff. So it was what it was. It was fine. First 6 months I was driving to the hospital like really pumped, like really amped, like wanting to get better every day at whatever like specialty I was in. LIC, I was driving to the clinic every day and being like, I don't want to go. Yeah, as far as starting early, that was kind of cool, I guess. And it's pretty awesome that we already have a whole year of clinicals under our belt, and we're about to start third year and just do more clinicals. How do you explain low grades? Just tell them why it happened. Truly, like there's not, why did you get low grades? Just answer the question. And I got low grades because I was working as a waitress. I was working 6 shifts a week. It was like 30 hours a week that I was working, plus the equestrian team, so I was just overcommitted. And then when I cut back to 3 shifts, like my grades went up. And I learned XYZ from that. Like, you just tell them what happened, and that's it. And they might not even ask if you're like referring to interview kind of things. So like, don't waste half your personal statement explaining your low grades. And there might be a secondary prompt on it, and then just like tell them what happened, what you learned from it. What are some of your favorite meals to cook that don't require a lot of work? I like this question. I would say half-baked harvest is my favorite, but they do require work, and like Georgia's one that cooks those all the time. So like my meal, this is related to like what I'm going to tell you at the end, but that I will probably be cooking a lot when I get back from our trip. King Soopers / Kroger / QFC / whatever it's called in your state, but Kroger is the, you know, the grocery store. They have these delicious like frozen salmon that have like a, not a crust, but a coating. Like they're, I don't know, just salmon with stuff on the outside. And there's this one of them that I get, and it's just like delicious. It's frozen, so you don't have to worry about it going bad. You just get a bunch in the freezer, you pop it in the oven, and then you pop it in with some like veggies and like cut up a sweet potato for sweet potato fries, and like bam, pop it in the oven. Delicious, delicious, healthy dinner. So I'm making that a lot. That's what I plan to make. That doesn't take a lot of work. Another one is like frozen shrimp. They have the honey crusted shrimp that's frozen that you can get from like any grocery store with like a salad mix. That's another easy one. So those would be my top 2. How do med schools treat non-STEM majors had bad experience with undergrad? Literally nobody knows your major, so no differently than any other major. Like I could not tell you my friend Taylor, Marlena, Jordan, Austin, couldn't tell you what a single one of their majors were. Nobody knows. They announce it during white coat. Nobody knows what your major was. Nobody knows what your grades were. Nobody knows what your MCAT score was. It doesn't matter. What do you recommend with dealing with the stressors of healthcare? I don't know if that question is like saying like when I'm a doctor, because I don't know, because that's like pretty far off. I guess when I'm a resident, I plan to like just like get as much sleep as possible, work out at home, because I probably won't be able to go to CrossFit, and outsource all the things. Like I will not stress about oil change, washing my car, cleaning the house. Like I want a cleaner, like any little things like that. I don't want to come home and do. I want to like come home, work out, sleep, spend time with George and Oakley. Like that's it. And like try to delegate the rest of our tasks. So I don't know if that's what that was referring to, but as a medical student, just balance. Like time blocking is the best way ever to manage your time and plan your week in advance. So like I'll put in my clinic schedule and then I'll be like, all right, what gym classes can I go to this week? And I'll put that in my calendar and I'll be like, all right, what time do I have to study this week? And I'll put that in my calendar. Just still doing all the things that make you happy, I guess. How did you study for the organ system for the MCAT and what did you have to memorize? I don't know. I think just in general, like I have a whole video on the MCAT and how I studied, but in general, you do content review and then you read through all the books. And I did the questions at the end of the chapter, and then the second phase is doing a bunch of passage-based practice, and the third phase is doing the same thing, but all AMC material. So just reading, learning, practice questions, and making sure you're like always timing yourself so you can, yeah. And then always reviewing your like answers and like understanding why you got something wrong, and then learning from there. Things that I memorized, I chose what I memorized based on what I kept missing. So if I kept missing something about amino acids, I would write all the amino acids out from a blank sheet of paper. If I kept missing something on lenses and mirrors and physics section, then I would get a piece of paper and I would start memorizing it. So I didn't keep missing something over and over and over. So that's my favorite way to memorize. When did you start writing your personal statement? Like a month before I wanted to submit it, probably. Maybe even like 2 or 3 weeks before, because I was working as an EMT and I was like also studying for the MCAT, so I was doing everything alongside each other, and that was during COVID, so I probably did a lot of it like in the rig, like on the ambulance in between patients or something. Like I feel like if you're the type of person who likes to do things like months and months in advance, then like use winter break. If you're like me and you're like, I have no motivation to do this until it's like that I can hear the deadline ticking, like the timer ticking because the deadline's so close, then start then. But either way, pick a date you want to have it done and get it done. Either early and a little bit over time, or, you know, kind of last minute and just like spend like 10 hours at a time over like a few days over a couple weeks. So yeah. What factored into your decision of choosing the med school you matriculated to? I had a top 4 based on my experience at interview day, because the people were really nice and awesome and amazing, and the active learning curriculum was kind of interesting. Not that that panned out that well, but I think Vermont would have like done a lot better at that. But so I had a top 4 based on just like my experience of like the people. Like I just wanted to be around people and have good vibes in a collaborative environment kind of thing. And then we were super torn on which one to pick. And the day that I had to decide, Dr. Stu called me and offered me a full ride scholarship, so we chose Colorado. We were going to choose Wake Forest before I got that call. I also have a video on my med school decision if you want to hear the full dramatic story. Last month studying for the MCAT, what did you do to de-stress? I think like having a plan and sticking to it is the ultimate de-stressor. Like I was so type A when it came to the MCAT. From day one, I always had exactly like what I was going to do every single day written in my planner. Periodically, I took practice exams, and like a month out from my test, I was already scoring my dream score. So like just like the confidence that you have from like just studying every day and putting in work and like seeing your score go up over time. That's why I wasn't super stressed, and I was like, let's take this dang thing. Like I was ready. And then it got pushed back because of COVID, and so I was a little like burnt out from studying because I was either working a 12-hour shift or studying 8 hours. Like I had no breaks. I didn't plan any breaks. So once it got pushed back, I was like, okay, I'm like really burnt out. I need to figure out a way to keep studying and like not burn out to the point where I stopped. I redid my study plan since it got like pushed back, and planned 1 day off per week where I did nothing. And I probably like took Oakley to the dog park on that day. So that was a huge thing that helped me. I guess it was a de-stressor because I was stressed about getting so burnt out that I just stopped studying because I was over it and I was ready to just take it, but I couldn't because of COVID. I'm trying to get some clinical experience, but most of them require certifications help. Advanced clinical training. I should put a lot of links down below. Like everything I talk about, I'll try my best to link, but if it's hard to get a certification because you don't have the time or you can't find a program that fits with your schedule or like whatever, advanced clinical training, you can get certified as an MA or CNA or PCT, like all the things. Yes, it's an investment, but just do it. Like it's what I would have done if I had known about it. And then you'll have the certification and like get a job so easy. So freaking easy. Like, and then you'll make the money to pay for what you paid for the class. So just do it. That's my only recommendation. Unless like, I'm guessing you don't have a certification because like schedule wise. So that's why I'm saying AET, because then it's an online like self-paced. This is not sponsored. Like I do sponsored posts on Instagram, but like this particular video is not sponsored. I'm just saying like it's online and self-paced, so you can do it on your own time and get it done. So 100% recommend. Canadian student applying to US med schools, any tips? I don't have personal experience as a Canadian student, but I would say check the MSAR to see if they actually accept Canadian students. Because even if at the top it says yes, go to the bottom to that table where you can actually see like the matriculated or the like interviewed students, and if it says 0 international students interviewed, then I would not believe whatever they said. Because at the top they could be like, yeah, we accept international, and then at the bottom you go to that table and it's like 100 applied, 0 interviewed, 0 matriculated, and I'd be like, okay, I'm not applying to that school. That's my number one tip. Like, don't waste your money on a school that's like, for some reason, against international. Okay, study tips for pre-med. Once I started getting better grades, I think the things that I like did once I had like more time to study was just like writing good notes, I guess, which is weird because in med school I don't do notes, but like, I don't know if this is still a thing in undergrad even, but like in undergrad, if you didn't go to lecture, you didn't know what happened, because it's not like med school where like everything is uploaded. There's always a recording. Like you don't have to go to lecture, but like if it's still that way in undergrad where like you don't get the material if you don't go, then go to every class, write good notes, and then like based on what they say the test is going to be, like either like do all the homework. Like when I was working as a waitress, we would always get homework for Gen Chem, and I never did it. So obviously I did that on the tests. And then if you do it and you're struggling, go to the TA or go to office hours, and then you'll learn. So just like a lot of practice. If they don't have practice for you or homework for you, and it's one of those ones where like you just go to class and then bam, there's a midterm, then like online resources like Khan Academy is where you can get practice. So find practice and go to all the lectures. So, because then the teacher will tell you like how their tests are, like, and if they don't, then ask in office hours, like, because every professor is different. So you have to figure out what their tests are going to be like, and then do a bunch of practice or do a lot of memorizing. And if it's a lot of like memorizing or like vocab or stuff like that, then you can try Anki. I hated Anki in undergrad, but now I really love it in med school. So that definitely would have been like a really helpful thing. But like flashcards in general are like a great thing. So yeah, use your resources, figure out what that test is going to be like, do a lot of practice, and then get help if needed. What type of Anki cards do you feel are most effective? Honestly, the ones that I make, well, the ones that either I make myself. So when I'm studying for shelf exams, I would do the Euro question, and if I missed it, then I would make a card on it. Or if you unsuspend them, then I think the most effective way is like you watch a sketchy video, then you unsuspend those cards. You watch a Boards and Beyond video, then you unsuspend the cards. If I were to be like, okay, I'm gonna start my step studying and just unsuspend 500 random cards, there's no context, there's no learning. Like you have to learn the content, then do the card. Like it's like if you read a book and then do handwritten flashcards. You have to read the book first. Like if somebody just hands you random stuff with no context, it doesn't stick. So that's the biggest thing, is like learn the material and then reinforce it with the cards. How did you become an EMT? I looked at all the job postings and applied. Yeah, I got a certification. Go on Google, EMT school near me, find what's available, and I did it. And then I went to Google and was like, EMT jobs near me, and I applied. And I got 2 interviews, and I chose AMAR because in my county, that was the one that had the 911 contract. Time management for pre-med. Time blocking, 100%. I don't think I did that in college. Well, actually I did. It's just that I didn't use Google Calendar. But I actually just recently came across photos from college of me drawing out like a calendar in my weekly schedule and stuff. So basically I've been always been time blocking. And like planning out like when I'm going to study, when classes, when I'm going to do other stuff. And yeah, it's just the ultimate time management system. I'll probably do more videos just like on that and stuff. So that's my number 1 tip. Ooh, tips for restarting CrossFit. I've tried twice before, but quit because of how competitive it felt. Sounds like you just need a gym with a better culture. Like if you walk in and you're intimidated, then that's a stupid gym. Like, I'm sorry that you had that experience. Like, you should walk in and feel like the gym like is open to like everyone of all ages, all fitness levels, all experience levels. Like, it should just be a really awesome culture. And if the ones near you aren't, then try a different, I would, as much as I love CrossFit, I would say try a different thing that has a good culture, because that's the number one thing that's gonna like motivate you, or at least me when I like am going. Like, I wanna like feel like there's my people and like my friends, and like I have so much fun when I'm there. It's not because I'm like, I wanna have 6-pack abs. Like, no, like I just wanna have a good time. Like, I just wanna be a chatty Cathy and like hang out with my people. So if you walk in and you don't have those vibes, then like you could try Orange Theory, you could try like something else, maybe like see if they have like a foundations class or a beginners class, or you could do one-on-one coaching, and maybe you'll feel less intimidated once they like have that one-on-one with you to like teach you all the movements, and then just like embrace maybe like the awkwardness or like feeling like you're more of a beginner, or try different class times, and maybe there's like other beginners that you meet and you'll feel like more comfortable. So if it's like the gym vibes are bad and like it's not in your head, like they're really just like not a fan of beginners, then like F them. But if it's more like, oh, I'm just intimidated because like I feel like everybody else is so good, like I'm so new, and like blah blah blah, then just like embrace it and just like do some one-on-one or do whatever you need to make you feel like more comfortable. CrossFit questions are fun. Okay. On those long 8 to 5 days first year, how much time did you study in a day, and could you still? I'd say on the long 8 to 5 days, like for example, on Mondays we had lecture from 8 to 12 and then anatomy lab from 1 to 5. No, I did not come home and study. Absolutely not. I was exhausted on those days. But Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, at most we only had like 4 hours in the morning. So like, again, I would have a 5 a.m. study routine. I would wake up, I would do my Anki cards, and then during lecture I made my Anki cards, which was like key. And like my goal was to keep up with the things. So like I did not want to have to like just sit there passively for a 4-hour lecture and then like at 6 p.m. re-go through all the lectures and make cards. No, I was like friggin' typing away during the lecture, and I made them as the lecturer was speaking, and I did like my screenshot thing. I have a whole video on it, but yeah. So on the long days, I would study in the mornings, but I would not come home and study at like 6 p.m. I would just let myself rest and give myself grace. And then on the shorter days, I would maybe do some afternoon studying, but I tried my best to study most in the mornings because I just like focus way better. Gym time or time to hang. It's feeling really hard to find time for personal life. I would say whatever brings you most joy. If you're like, oh, if I go to the gym, I'll never see my friends, then just see your friends and like convince your friends to work out with you. That's the real, then it's like a double whammy. That's what I would do. But yeah, don't, or make friends at the gym, which is hard because I'm trying to do that. And I don't really have friends at my new gym because our old gym no longer exists. They have new owners and it sucks. It's so bad. Okay, what are some memory strategies you use in order to retain information? Anki, and if you need to like memorize a pathway or something, then blank sheet of paper, write it all out, rinse, wash, repeat until you're able to like write the whole pathway from memory from a blank sheet of paper. Anatomy, if you have like the picture with like the things blanked out, then go through and try to like name them and like do that until you can name every structure. What was the main struggle for yourself in this amazing journey so far? My main struggle, pretty hard when I got really behind on my surgery shelf studying. Like I just didn't study until 3 weeks out, and that was incredibly stressful. I didn't go to the gym at all, and then it was right before the open, and then I messed up the open, and I just felt like the ultimate failure in every aspect of my life, and that sucked. And then I was like, well, I'm just not gonna let this happen again, and the second part of the year will be better because of it. So I had a lot better of a study routine after that, and I was just mad because I was like, there's no excuse to not study 5 minutes a day. Like, you're never that busy. You can always fit in 5 to 10 minutes, and that's better than nothing. And I did nothing for so long, but you live and learn. Failures are just a learning opportunity. So next year I'm gonna crush the freaking open, and I'm gonna crush step and not have to use any of my dedicated because I'm so traumatized. Definitely a struggle, but only good came of it, and a lot of tears. I'm taking anatomy and OChem at the same time. Any tips for anatomy? I'm really not the best at anatomy. Honestly, like ask all the questions to your TA, go through their practicals with your friends. That's my top 2 tips. That's what helped me the most. And med school boot camp has an amazing anatomy thing. That's what I did to pass my anatomy practicals. Those 3 things. How to go about asking to shadow for surgery. If you're a pre-med, then like literally Google private practices near me and call 50 of them. If you're a med student, just like just cold email any surgeon you can find that you want to shadow. And then if you're pre-med, also like ask your cousins, uncles, friends, church people, like if they know of a doctor that would let you shadow, because that's the way I was first able to shadow. Was this orthopedic surgeon like goes to my church and they're friends with my mom and stepdad, so that worked out. And then it was a while before I saw him in surgery though. I spent all summer like shadowing him in clinic, and then got to go to like 3 of the surgeries later in the summer. What kinds of volunteer work do you med schools like? Clinical, no clinical, both? What kind do you like? That's what you should do. Truly, like I tutored because I love tutoring. I love kids. I was a nanny. Like it's so fun. Like it was like a second grader that I was paired with, and once a week I helped her with math. Like I love it. So I'm not going to answer what they like. Do what you like. Yeah, you need clinical experience, but that's not related to volunteering. So do what you like. Also, I have a volunteering guide somewhere. I'm probably going to forget to put all these links in the bottom, just saying. Been thinking about trying CrossFit. Any tips or advice for a beginner? Okay, so similar to the other CrossFit question, like if you're going online, so Google CrossFit gyms near me, and then when you're on their page, see if they have like a foundations class, a beginner's class, or they offer like a free one-on-one when you sign up kind of thing, because I think that's so important to get like the foundations and like ease you in so you're not intimidated and like blah blah. Plus like it probably means that they're good at like coaching beginners and they really are like more open to like all levels, which they should be. That's what CrossFit is all about. Yeah, honestly, that's my main tip. Like find a good gym. That's because then they'll take care of you and you'll have the best time. And like when you walk in, people should say hi to you and introduce themselves and like ask you where you're from and like be really friendly. Like if you walk in and not a single person like notices that you're new, that's not the best sign. Like that's not the best sign of a very good culture. Best resources for anatomy, med school boot camp. Honestly, that's the best. Cause can you see it up above me? It's like right there. What's it called? Oh, Netter. People are so obsessed with that book, and no. I mean, I guess it has good structures. I used it like a tiny bit. But I need somebody to like teach me and like give me tips and mnemonics and stuff. So again, this is not sponsored. The last YouTube video was sponsored by Med School Bootcamp, but truly like that's the best I got. Like if you're asking for the best resource, they're not a bootcamp because their quizzes have like actual cadaver structures. So let me think of something else that's like, what's a free resource? Honestly, like if you Google drawings, let me show you. One sec. So if you want like a free best resource, literally just Google whatever you're trying to memorize. So I Googled this. Look how nice this is. Like this is on Pinterest. So Google stuff like this and then like go on your iPad, white these out, and then quiz yourself. This is so nice. I wish I could be this cute and like aesthetic. Anyway, got sick and fell a bit behind in secondaries. Should I feel anxious? Nope. Is what it is. Do them as you can and just, you know, it's all fine. It'll all work out in the end. How long would you recommend studying for the MCAT? How many practice exams? A lot of practice exams. I am a slow test taker, so I really have to nail my timing, and it's a beast. You have to work up like the stamina. So I took 13 and I would say 10, honestly, unless you started out at like a higher. I started out at a 498, so like I had a ways to go. As far as how long to study, that depends on your commitments. So like 3 months if you have like no commitments, and like 6 to 9 months if you have a lot. So I did 5 months, and that was like more than enough for me because like I mentioned my schedule earlier. Base that on your commitments and what's realistic for you. The year before med school apps, self-discipline, not losing hope, advice. Okay, so like having the discipline to like do all your essays and like not lose hope and not let the doubt like overwhelm you. Like I'm not gonna get in anyway, like blah, blah, blah. I would say like, for me, like, this is gonna sound like a little cheesy, but like, it's getting in the mentality of like, I will do whatever it takes. Like, whatever is in my control, I will make sure that I do it 110%. That's it. Like, focus on what you can control and like, give it your all. Like, you have to be in that mentality of like, I'm gonna give my best self to this. Like, and I will leave no stone unturned. Like, literally write out a list and see how you can improve every aspect of your application, and just, it's mentality. Like my mentality is what motivated me to keep going and like to do all the essays, and like my determination to like, I guess I probably pictured like hitting submit and like not feeling disappointed in myself. Like that's a big motivator, is like not being disappointed and not being like you're a failure. Like examples. So clinical experience. After I like didn't get in the first time, I knew that was something I can improve. Like that's something in my control. So I got my EMT certification, and then like a year later when I didn't like my nanny job, I'm like, hello, well, I still don't have clinical experience and I have that certification from a year ago, like use it. And then like shadowing, I hadn't shadowed in 5 years. So I was like, all right, there might be a lot of people that tell me no when it comes to shadowing, but what I can control is calling 50 private practices until I get a yes. And it took about 30-ish calls. Like I think it was 32. I might be making that number up, but I know that it was like 30-ish. For some reason 32 sticks in my mind. I probably just made that up along the way, but like I still remember standing outside of the rig and Lacey was my partner, and I was like, just like, I had a list that I got from Google and I was just calling, and eventually I got a yes. One yes from 32 calls, 30-ish calls. So yeah, just like mentality and breaks. You know what was the most depressing thing was taking the MCAT, and then like the next day, like I was home alone and I had planned nothing to celebrate. So celebrate the small wins along the way. It's a huge one that I suck at. So you could also do that. Can you go over some time management? Oh, we got a lot of time management ones. The next one says time management, please. Okay, I'll do more time management videos. Gap years. Very stressed about gapping another year because of not so good MCAT score. Take as many gap years as you need and stop stressing. Like take a gap year to go travel. Take a gap year to spend time with your grandma. Take a gap year to do whatever the heck you want. Okay, you don't need to start. I understand the feeling because when I first applied, I thought it was the end of the freaking world to take a gap year. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to start a year later. Like I want to get in now. And I was so dramatic. I have 4 gap years. Okay, things are working out fine. Where can students obtain clinical experience and how is the training process? If you're lucky, like my friend, you can become an MA without a certification. She like is in Maryland area. But like the other person was like, oh, everywhere near me needs a certification, then you're gonna have to get a certification. So you can either do that in person or online. In person is great. If you can't, do you offer an MCAT bootcamp and how can I enroll? Yeah, MCAT roadmap, and I'll link it below, and then you can enroll from there. Or if you're a pre-med, you should join Road to Acceptance and just email us and we'll enroll you. Or you can go through like the free pre-med workshop that we have. At the end, like that's part of like the package if you like enroll, blah, blah, blah. But like either enroll below or enroll in Road to Acceptance and email us and we'll enroll you in that too as like a bonus. If you don't mind me asking, what happened in undergrad that caused low GPA? Oh, I was just working too much. I got a job like the second semester of my freshman year working as a waitress, and then like was working 30 hours a week. And also on the equestrian team, so literally had 0 time to study. I did not study. It's like impressive that I got only 5 C's because I just didn't study. Like I had no time. Like I said, like I remember him passing out like the homeworks in Gen Chem, and then a couple days later we're just all like, you know, they're handing the homework in like down the row or whatever, and I'm like, so. And then I saw him at work and he made a comment like, you know, like, you're a waitress, like, you know, you should be like focusing on your studies, like, is that why you're not doing your homework kind of thing? Like, but I turned it all around and it was fine. And then what if I don't finish SMP, like so special master's program, but do a master's in nursing? Will not finishing look bad? No, I only did 2 quarters of my program. Like it was a year-long program and I didn't finish, but like if you are just taking classes to improve your GPA, then just, I don't think it looks bad. I mean, you need to do enough to show an upward trend and like make sure your GPA is above a 3.0 and really show them that you can like handle that hard like heavy load of science classes. But not finishing, they're gonna be like, oh, you didn't do a few more classes to get the degree or get the certification. Like that's not what they're gonna be looking at. They just want you to prove to them that you can handle the rigor of med school. So however long you need to be in the program to do that. This is probably like a really long video already, but I'll quickly tell you what the new news is. So tomorrow we're leaving for Oregon. We're getting married a week from today. Oh my god, a week from today. Oh my god, that's crazy. I'm so excited. But the crazy thing is that we're gonna get married and then we'll have a week in Bend, Oregon, and then basically the 3 of us, me, George, and Oakley, are going to the Pacific Northwest, and only one is coming back. So I will be flying back and George and Oakley will be staying in Seattle for around 6 months, and we're gonna have to do a long distance for George to like kind of start a business that he was in a program and then got a grant, and like now he gets to like launch this September, and he's gonna be doing that. And then once everything's up and running, he'll be able to come back and I won't be alone in this gigantic house anymore by myself. But yeah, so we're gonna do long distance for a bit, and it's gonna like kind of suck, but like we're both really gonna be working toward, like he's gonna be working on his business, I'm gonna be working on studying for STEP, and we're just working on our goals, you know? And so that part is exciting, like for the both of us. But yeah, and then when I do take STEP, I'll have like 6 weeks off, so I don't know if I really want to spend the whole 6 weeks in Seattle while he works all the time, but I will get to visit him a lot, so. I made that really short because I think this video is already really long right now, so I'm gonna end with that. And you know, once I start up my vlogs for 3rd year, George will be in Seattle, so I'll tell you all how that is then. And the vlogs will be kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to find like a new hobby in the evenings, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. But now you're all updated. Hope you enjoyed this video. The last Q&A actually did well, so like I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow along on Instagram, and can't wait to see you in the next video. And I promise to make more time management ones since you guys love asking that and I love sharing. So see you in the next one.